Hey all, this is going to be my interview video. Before I begin actually answering the questions, I do want to preface this video by saying that I am answering all these questions under the assumption that the job I'm applying for is going to be one in the broadcast journalism field, because that is the major that I'm working towards and what I figure I will ultimately end up actually interviewing for at some point in my life in the near future. So with that in mind, thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to be able to be here and to answer these questions for you guys. I'm extremely excited and I really hope to impress you guys. The first question that we have is, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Absolutely. So my name is Brendan. I have been working towards a broadcast journalism degree for the last 2 years so far. I'm going to get my associates in communications soon, and I have always loved just writing in general, and especially writing digitally. I think that a job like this would be perfect for me because, like I've always said, as far as the news field goes, it's the perfect blend of having charisma and technology together. I think I'm a very charismatic person. I like to think, at least I think I am, but between that and my love for technology, I feel like it's just the perfect balance between those two. And I've always been someone who loves to talk to people. I love getting to work with technology. I've been someone who's been, for better or worse, I've been hooked on my computer since I was a kid, and I've always been playing video games on my computer. When I got my PS3 for like my 12th birthday, oh, that was best day of my life, or maybe the worst, because then it just really got me addicted and I couldn't stop playing it. And I always wanted to figure out how do people create these things? How do people get to work with this technology and make it to be something that is so grand and so exciting and so, it just captures me so well. And so it's a perfect place, which kind of enters to the second question, which is what interests you about this job? Of course, that would be the technology aspect of it. I would love getting to work with cameras and light schemes and being able to be in front of the camera too, as someone who is able to just talk to the camera about news, events, local, global, no matter what it is. I just love being able to talk to people about these sorts of things. I feel like I have the passion for it. I think that I've got the determination that could really make me stand out from some other people as far as getting this job. The third question is, what do you know about our company? So for that, being a news company, you've been around for some time. You've had probably started out as more like a newspaper thing and worked your way up into the digital realm, figuring that, you know, with the advent of technology, especially with the internet within the last 20 years or so, you're able to kind of mold your way from a traditionally like paper or like television thing into becoming more and more of a bigger internet presence, and using that, especially with social media on the internet, being a new way to connect with the people that you are interviewing with or talking with, for that matter. The fourth question is, why are you no longer with your last job? I'm no longer with my last job because it was a job that isn't really relevant to my career aspirations. I was working at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I was working as a host there, and I've been doing that for a while, and it was fun for a bit, but like I said, it really has a very minimal connection to being able to work with broadcasting and journalism and writing and stuff. I do believe that it helped me in that it really sharpened my skills on how to talk to people, and especially people who are in an adversarial relationship, to say the least, with myself. But between that, it was also the fact that they had not promoted me for a while like they had promised me they would. They told me I would become a server, which for someone like me, it's very important to be able to make as much money as I can to help me get through the college years of my life. And when they weren't doing that for me, I figured that it was probably just better off to take the risk, leave the place in pursuit of a job that would actually be directly beneficial to me mentally and professionally. The fifth question is, why should we hire you for this job? And I believe that that boils down to the passion that I've always had and will continue to have for a job like broadcasting. I have always wanted to write. and I've always loved speaking too. I think I've just had a natural gift for it. Just starting when I was a kid, I was in spelling bees a lot, and spelling bees require you to be up on a stage in front of a lot of people doing basically a you either get this right or wrong type of thing in front of everyone. And so I think that kind of conditioned me to be prepared for sort of the goods and bads that come with speaking in front of people. And my love for writing, which is also a huge part of journalism, has been seriously ingrained in me from a young age as well. I remember in the first grade when I almost felt like bad about myself because I was so good at spelling and using words that I purposely failed a test so I could fit in with the other kids. And when my mom and my teacher found out about that, my mom told me that my punishment would be to write a story instead. So I ended up doing that, and I've been writing stories ever since. Any creative writing class I get, I feel like it's just not even a class, it's just an opportunity for me to grow my skills and learn. And if I were to get this job, it would be the perfect way to show that all the years of work that I've done and all the passion that I've had can really boil into something that can do good for people greater than just myself. Which leads me to the sixth question. How do you manage your work-life balance? I've always felt like I've been pretty good at that because I have never been one to go to an extreme. I have lived a life with the philosophy of balance. And that is not just between work and life, that's just between anything ever. I make sure to find the perfect balance because going to an extreme it's dangerous in its own respective ways. So if I'm working too much, I take time off, I enjoy myself for a little bit, but obviously I can't be doing that too much. I like to have a time where, set a schedule sort of so that I have periods of time that I can expect to be working exclusively and working on stuff, and periods of time that I can expect to relax. And I think that schedule is really nice because if I'm living a life where I don't really know when my next shift is or my next break is, it leads to a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty is a very debilitating thing if you're constantly living with it. And I think having a schedule that helps me really separate and compartmentalize the different things is important for getting that done. My questions just went away. Sorry about that. So the seventh question is, how do you manage stress? And for me, I've always felt like I've been pretty good at managing stress, and I don't think that would be something that would get in the way of doing my job, because at my last job at Buffalo Wild Wings, it was almost always a stressful environment. It was very fast-paced, and there was a lot of anger or like frustration in the air between either employees or between customers. And I pretty much learned from that. Sometimes you just kind of take it easy a little bit. You just keep your cool and kind of just worry about things that you can control, and just don't get worked up about things that you can't control. So when I was at my last job and we got extremely busy, I just said, hey, we'll take it one order at a time. We can only go as fast as we can go, and that's something that we can't really control, so I'm not going to worry about stuff like that. So I would just do my job, I would just do it at the best pace that I could do it, and I would just not worry about it. And I think that really helped me a lot to keep my stress level low. And when I say I didn't worry about it, that's not to say I didn't care. It's just to say that I was trying to avoid getting into a stressful mindset, because when I do that, I kind of tend to break down a little bit, and I don't want that to happen. And I feel like being able to just take a step back from things is the best way to approach a stressful situation. In the very rare experiences where I have actually gotten stressed to the point of actually freaking out at a workplace, I usually deal with that through just the form of self-depreciating humor and stuff. I will never deal with stress in a way that would take it out negatively on other people, other members of my team. That's just not how I operate. It's not how I live my life. Our eighth question is, this position requires extensive stamina and standing. Is that workable for you? Yes, it is. I'm an able-bodied man. I exercise. I live in Colorado. Altitude, you know, this place forges natural athletes. I feel like I can do that. It's not a challenge for me at all. Ninth question is, what experience do you have in this field of work? I would say that I don't necessarily have a lot of professional work experience, being that I am only a college student. I'm going to be a junior soon, so right now, professionally, I really don't have anything. One thing I can say though that I think would give me a leg up, sort of, is in my youth I would make a lot of films, and that required using, for me, I had to use iMovie because my mom had a Mac computer that I would edit on. So I would do that a lot, and I became extremely familiar with not only just iMovie in particular, but I just became very familiarized with the general editing process of films. So I kind of learned different like a wide versus a long shot, now how to set up a foreground, how to frame certain shots, how to work with certain things like that. Maybe more of like an actual like creative film type of thing, but I think that those sorts of shots and like the knowledge that I got from making those sorts of films a lot in my youth could really apply well to broadcasting. And if I were to be behind the camera, like knowing what sort of shots to make, or knowing when to switch to a different shot, or how long to stay on a shot, stuff like that, I feel like is the sort of experience that I come in kind of already having some sort of understanding of before even getting into the workplace. The final question is, what makes you better than our other candidates available? And that's definitely a tough question. Being at my age, it's definitely sort of a hard question to answer, but truthfully, I believe that if you don't look at just the amount of professional experience that I have in the field, I would say look at the passion and look at the ambition that I embody. I know that I have the ambition to make this work. I believe very strongly in myself, and I am someone who I like to start what I like to finish what I start, basically. So I don't want to just, I don't know. Basically, I just want to finish things very strongly, and I want to, see things through that I have. I have a vision for things, and I know what I want, and when I know what I want, I'm going to get it. That's part of that finish what I started mentality, is that I'm going to pound my way through no matter what happens, no matter what adversities pop up, no matter what happens to me. I'm going to find a way to beat through it until I get the desire, or perhaps I find something even better along the way that I had no idea about. Those are the sorts of things that I believe very strongly in, and I'm sure that perhaps other candidates have it, but for me, at my age, I have so much to offer, and to me, it's almost as if my youngness, my youth, makes it even better, because that gives me just more time to grow and understand, and perhaps I could be at like a spot that a person who would otherwise be older at like, let's say a person who gets this job, maybe he's 24, they take a few years to learn it, and then they're at 30 years old. But for me, by the time I'm at that level of experience for the 30-year-old, I'm actually only 24, and I have so much more time to be able to provide for the company. I think that is something that could be definitely looked at for sure. Those are the 10 questions. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate the time spent watching this video. I hope that you consider me for this hypothetical job. Thank you.